r/nosleep. Posted BYU hyperobscura. 118. At dusk I stare into the bleak forest, my eyes transfixed on a specific spot of nothing for hours at a time, never blinking, never thinking. Darkness will eventually devour the tall pine trees, and when the last remnant of color fades, as will my trance, my eyes will hurt as I slowly regain my senses, and I will remember each moment like a soft vibration in the back of my mind. My arms will be heavy lumbering things, swinging idly by my side. My back hunched and sore, my legs now trembling from exhaustion. I will eventually make my way to bed, and suffer a restless, dreamless sleep. When I wake up, it is like a perpetual mist fading, slowly revealing everything, just a little bit clearer for each passing day. I've counted 53 since it first started. If I recall correctly, there are still 65 to go. My father told me to count. One day, he'd say, I would have to pass on the knowledge, just like he did. He ordered me to watch him as he stood out in the cold, staring into the vast nothing of the forest. And I did. And I counted. I would help him back to bed, his tired eyes now filling with tears, back hunched, legs trembling. I would watch him writhe in silent agony every night, and witness the monumental relief on his face upon waking. This I would do every night, because I knew what would happen if I didn't. 118. Daytime passes like a slowly rising ache, and I will scratch at my forehead anxiously as dusk approaches. Then the ritual will repeat itself, and I will wake with an ever-growing sense of clarity. I never knew my grandfather. He died when my father was young, the circumstances never revealed to me as a boy. But my father would tell me stories from the old country that his father had told him. Dark, disturbing tales of grotesque nature, their ultimate meaning largely lost on me at the time. Tales of profane treachery and ceremonies of depravity. Stories of murder and torture, each one more horrendous than the last. As a boy I never understood how my father could find it in him to torment me with these ghastly anecdotes, but as I grew older I would eventually come to suspect the meaning. They were cautionary tales. On day 59 the training began. Every day after I would follow my father as he set off into the forest, not returning until dusk approached once more. We would follow the trail to the lake, and he would explain to me in vivid detail what was to come, and what must be done. Every day, the same trail, the same talk. He would show me where it had to happen, and we would stop there, at that exact spot, and train for hours. There was no room for failure, he'd say, because failure would mean the end of everything. No. Not just cautionary tales. Legacies. I am my father now. The legacy, the ritual, the tales. Every night now I must relive the moment. I have to. There is no room for failure. A gentle rustle of a branch. Somber snowflakes floating slowly towards the frozen soil. A smell of death lingering in the cold air, like a harrowing shadow of what is to come. I find myself closer and closer to the edge of the forest, drawn inexplicably to the spot of nothing. And as my body expulses my mind, I drift back to the past and remember. 118. On the last day we sat silently by the frozen lake, facing each other like living fur-clad statues. The evergreen giants surrounding the clearing waved their branches in unison patterns as the cold wind ravaged through the snowscape. We didn't need to talk. There was nothing left to say. I could hear the sound of drums in the distance. A deep, slow, steady, hypnotizing beat. My father sat in deep concentration, eyes closed, head raised to the sky. A gentle stream of blood running down his forehead and into his open mouth. It was almost time. My joints are sore and cold, and I often feel my mind slipping through the cracks of reality. It longs for somewhere else. But there are still months ahead, and I am not prepared. There is much yet to do. As dusk approaches, I walk out to the edge of the forest. Somewhere in the depths of that dark haven yearns my being, and I cannot resist it. I will not. Violently I scratch at my forehead, trying desperately to imagine that ungodly night so long ago. And then it comes, catching my breath, so tired, I quickly glance up at the tall gaunt figure of my father beside me. Clutching erratically at my shoulders, struggling to stay on his feet, he staggers to the side of the trail, a look of pain and desperation in two of his eyes, the third now but a bloody mess. A deep gash in the back of his left thigh, a stark reminder of the true nature of this place, renders him incapable of a steady pace, and we are forced to stop at irregular intervals to rest. The snow falls rapidly around us, the wind now at a strong gale. The trail can no longer be seen, covered now by an ever-betraying blanket of white. But we know. We could find our way to the frozen lake blindfolded if need be. And in a sense, we are blind now. In the distance we hear it. The forest is awake. no longer moving in unison, each branch now reaching down towards us, like unholy skeletal fingers, grasping violently as we brush past them. The inaudible drip 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 of crimson from my father's forehead now covering his fur. Behind us we leave an ever-increasing trail of blood, sweet, warm and noticeable. We can hear it approaching. The deep, slow, steady, hypnotizing beat of the black heart in pursuit. Darkened tendrils creep up from the snow-covered ground, coiling themselves around the massive trunks of the trees, pulsating in a feverish rhythm as it pumps its life force through them. It has now become the forest. Then, with the very last of our strength, we push through the grasping claws of the branches, landing face down before the frozen lake. Crystallized snow glimmers eerily upon its surface, an angelic contrast to the utter darkness that surrounds it. Minutes pass as we lie there, my lungs now practically bursting through my chest. Somehow I am able to get up, legs aching and shaking, hands swinging idly by my side. My father writhing in silent agony from his wounds, still on the ground mere inches from the seeking branches. I stagger towards him, dragging him onto his feet. The beating of the black heart now sounds like deep echoing cracks of thunder. It approaches. Slowly we make our way across the lake, my father, barely able to walk, covering our rear. We are halfway across when I hear the ice cracking below my feet. As I turn around, I see my father disappearing beneath the ice, his arms flailing to the side, desperately trying to get a hold of anything. Adrenaline pumps through me again, and I muster enough strength to rush towards the gaping hole in the lake, grabbing hold of his arm just before he is lost to the depths. I am barely able to hold on, let alone get him to safety, and all around me I hear the echoing thunder of the black heart steadily approaching. I remember struggling for what felt like minutes, before my father somehow got both his arms over the ice, now just a dangling torso above the freezing water. He smiles at me then, and a monumental relief seems to wash over him. "This is it," he says. "This is what we've been training for." I nod softly, tears running down my face. The darkness is engulfing us. Well beyond the edge of the forest by now. The black heart but seconds away, its steady beat now a deafening bang. I hesitate briefly. No amount of training can ever prepare you for this. "It's all right," he says. "It is our legacy. We were born for this." My eyes hurt as I brush away the tears. My thoughts now nothing but chaos, my body a frail lethargic frame, shivering and pathetic. But his smile comforts me, brings me strength, resilience. I nod again, this time firmly, and carefully circle around to his back. The darkness now surrounds us, tendrils slithering along the snow, inching ever closer, the black heart just moments away. I grab my father by the head, hunching down I kiss him gently where the third eye once was. Slowly I unsheath my hunting knife, letting it rest momentarily by his left ear. I stare into the blackness, and within the swirling amorphous mass I can see it. A specific spot of nothing. The black heart of the woods. Through gritted teeth I snarl at it, curse it, hate it, and with a swift move of precision, only made possible through months of tireless training, I slit my father's throat from ear to ear. This burden, legacy, I have carried with me all my life. I knew the day would come when the knowledge must be passed on. And so I have spent a lifetime preparing for it. My family brought the thing with them when they left the old country. A dark stowaway, a halfway forgotten remnant of the ancient ways. It cannot live here, you see. It cannot survive on its own. It will devour everything, unsatisfied, hungry, forever dying, mad and alone. We brought it here, and so we must be the keepers. Whenever it awakes, we must call for it, lure it back to its makeshift prison, before it ascends to its old godlike self. On the eve of its return we must sacrifice unto it one of our own, and watch them both sink to the bottom of the lake. A son must murder the father. These are the rules of old. I stagger weakly back from the edge of the forest, heading towards the porch, my son by my side, supporting me as best he can. We have been here for the better part of a year now, ever since I took him from his mother. She can never know why. My son, now 12, understands this. It took a few months, but I shared with him the tales of the old country, and slowly he began to accept. But I have yet to tell him everything. In a few days we will walk the trail to the frozen lake. And we will begin the training. And I will tell him at last. 118 days from the first dusk you must be ready. Ready to cut my throat.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face, tell me that you love me.